The final series of videos on Chapter 7 is about combining transformations together. In example 1 it says the shape shown in the diagram, which isn't very easy to see. I'm just going to shade that. There's an L shape here. Is first reflected in the y-axis, and then its image is then reflected in the x-axis. So you can see here it's gone from our original, and it's reflected in the y-axis now to get to this shape here. And after that, it's reflected in the x-axis to get down to here. And it's asking us for what single transformation has gone from A to C. So we have to try to work that out. We can ignore B now. And it looks to me like it should be a rotation. I can test this by just counting squares again. From the origin, perhaps, I would count... looks like this has made a bit of a mistake. Can you see in the question that it's asking for the first shape is reflected in the y-axis? But do you see that it started at 1 across, and when it's reflected, it's actually moved to 2. This is in the wrong place. That was the textbook's mistake there. I'm going to correct that now. If it's 1 away from the y-axis, then it should now be here. It's 1 away in that direction, which would make it there. And then if we reflect this, it's 3 squares down again. It's now going to bring it over here. So we can ignore the yellow L shapes on this side, and it's the blue ones that seem to be in the correct place. And it makes a bit more sense now, because it's asking for a single transformation to go from the original to the final. And I think it's a rotation. I'm going to check it now with a different colour. So from the origin, I'd count 1 square across, 3 squares up. If I rotate this 180 degrees now, it's going to go 1 across and 3 down, which actually does work. So that's in the right place. I could check this with a bit of tracing paper, I guess, but I've got to remember to write all the bits of information here. So the first thing is what sort of transformation is it? Is it rotation? Is it a reflection? Is it an enlargement? Or is it a translation? So the first mark is always going to be writing one of these 4 words. The second mark will be then for being more specific, and some of them have a third mark. So the rotation is 1 mark. The second mark would be how much and in what direction. But this is 180 degrees, so I don't need to say clockwise or anti-clockwise because it's the same. But the third mark for rotation, this is 3 marks, is going to be around or about the origin, about 0, 0. I'd have to write about here. I'll run out of space there. About. There you go. If it was a reflection, that's worth only 2 marks, because I'd have to say reflection for 1 mark and then about what line of symmetry here. Enlargement, that is 3 marks, because I'd have to say the enlargement about what scale factor. Is it 1 or 2 or half or -3 or something? And then I'd have to give the center of enlargement, which could be 0, 0, for example. A translation, that's worth only 2 marks. You'd have to say the word translation for the first, and then the second would be the vector that you translated it by, for example, 2, 7. So each one of these, you have to be aware of whether it requires 3 marks or 2 marks.